I'm going out to a barbecue in a bit, so I'm looking half decent, and whenever I look half decent these days, I just need to turn on the camera, otherwise I'm never going to film. So we're doing like my version of a summer glowy look. I'm going to try to use a lot of like glowy type of products, cream type of products, especially for my complexion, and we see where we end up. First thing I'm going to do is apply my eyeshadow primer. I'm going to use the 24-hour Extend Eye Base from MAC, which is literally like the only eyeshadow base that I use these days, so not even worth mentioning it every time. I don't particularly plan on a very like heavy eye look, so I want to do just a quick brow mascara. I'm going to use the Brow Artist from L'Oreal and just sort of try to fill in, especially around here, around the tails, and then bring the eyebrow hairs up so that they look as much in disarray as possible, because that's a look that I enjoy for whatever reason. Now, I don't expect to have a lot of fallouts. I'm actually going to do my foundation, which is very counterintuitive to me, but I'm going to do my face first because I want to just have my face be as sparkly, as tacky when I apply the foundation, because I want to look really glowy. And I'm going to first use my strobe cream from MAC. I have the shade Pink Light, and what I'm going to do with that, my little sample here is actually almost finished. I'm going to apply that definitely here under my eyes, because I really love how it brightens up underneath my eyes. And then I'm going to drag it down a little bit onto my cheeks, especially here the high points of my cheeks, for some additional glow there. Now my face is still tacky because I use a very glowy and tacky day cream, especially in the summer. So I'm going to make use of that to apply the foundation over top. But before we proceed to foundation, I'm going to do my concealer. I'm going to use my Instant Concealer from Clarins. I do enjoy this concealer, but I feel like I do have to apply it over something like the strobe cream from MAC, because otherwise it does dry out my under eyes quite a bit still. Well, not a lot, not as much as a lot of other concealers do, but still visibly enough to bother me. Whereas with the strobe cream, I feel like the tackiness and the shininess of strobe really help this concealer to look very shiny. Alright, now I'm going to take one of my favorite new foundations for the summer. This is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Nude Foundation. Mine is in the shade 2 and 1. The one thing I hate about the Double Wear line is that despite the price tag, they never have a pump. How hard is it, Estee Lauder? And not sell one separately. I mean, how fucking lame is that? I do love this foundation. It's such a nice light formula, especially for the summer, or if you're someone who really doesn't like full coverage foundations. You can mix this with full coverage foundations if you want it to have a little bit more coverage. I think it will look perfect for that, especially if you mix it in with the original Double Wear. I think it would be awesome. But right now I'm really enjoying it as it is. Since I do get pretty oily over the course of the day, I do need to set my face with something, so I will grab Dim Light from Hourglass and just try to apply, especially around the points of my face where I know I'm going to get quite oily, which is here around the nose. I don't really powder underneath my eyes, forehead, just a light layer. I think you can see that because of the finish of this powder, my skin still looks glowy, but just a little bit more set. Now this is going to feel a little bit chaotic, but I'm going to jump back to do my eyes now before we proceed with the rest of the face, just because I feel like it's always easier to decide what kind of products to use on your face if you have done your eyes already. I want to use my Decadence palette again, and I want to really use this beautiful, gorgeous, fiery red-orange over here. And I want to pair that with one of my favorite shades to use when I do summer makeup, Excuse You, Sun. And this is the shade Pale Fire, which I really cannot shut up about, and you've heard about so many times before. I'm sorry if your ears are bleeding every time you hear Pale Fire, but I love Pale Fire so much. So I'm going to grab the shade... what's this called? Oh yeah, Hedonistic. I'm going to grab Hedonistic on a fluffy brush, and I'm going to actually bring that like halfway across my lids, like so. and start blending that out in a second. I always clean off my brush quite well before I start blending the shade out, just because I think it's easier to start with little and build up more if you need it. But like I said, I don't want to do anything crazy on the eye, so I don't want it to be too intense. I am going to intensify the outer part of my lids a little bit, but before that I'm going to jump into Pale Fire. Take a little bit on that same brush that I use for blending out Hedonistic. Put a copious amount of Pale Fire on it and then spritz with Fix Plus. And now it's all over my mirror. Genius move, Mariam. Bring that onto the inner half of my lids. You can definitely see how beautiful and shiny it gets when it's spritzed with Fix Plus. I still want to have the red eyeshadow in the outer corners a tiny bit more intense, so I will take the same brush on which I had Pale Fire, and hopefully it's still wet enough for me to be able to intensify Hedonistic. Just a tiny bit. On my lower lash line I'm going to use this sort of bronzy orange shade over here. I was really hesitating if I just didn't want to use this one today, but it seems like a very subdued shade and I wanted something a little bit brighter, but I'm really excited to use this shade too. And pop that on my lower lash line. In my waterline, quickly going to pop this beautiful bronze Kiko Milano eyeshadow stick. Okay, I am back wearing some substantial amounts of mascara, or at least I think so. Now we're going to proceed with the face, and I'm going to be using all of the cream products that I have for my face, which are not very many. I don't have that many face products that are in a cream formula, but I do have a few and I like to use them, especially in the summer. The first one we're going to dip into is the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel bronzer. The only cream bronzer that I have. I'm lying, I have another one from Nude Sticks, but that one is much more reddish copper toned and I feel like it wouldn't really match this look very well. So I use a nice stippling sort of brush to apply this product, and I sort of always start here in the hollows of my cheeks and I bring it to the front. Ah, hello boys. Пупчик? Може ли на мама четката? Кака. Благодаря, Слънчик. О, благодаря. Иди, иди. Благодаря, Слънце. Може ли на мама четката? Не? I have gained custody of my brush again, so let's finish applying the bronzer. I think it's a beautiful tone. It has definitely like warmer undertones to it, but I feel like it's not too orange and it's definitely not a very orange toned bronzer. Now let's proceed to using my favorite cream. Actually, it's not a cream, it's a liquid blush for the summer. This is the Suku Shimmering Liquid Blush in the number 03. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous orange coral shade. I used the shit out of it last summer, as you can already tell. So what I like to do with this is just spritz a little bit on the back of my hand like this, and then use that very same brush on which I had the bronzer, and then slightly dip like this into the product and apply it onto my face like this. I'm quite terrible applying face products with my fingers. I'm always in awe of how well Melissa does with that, but I mean, she also has much more experience applying cream and liquid products in comparison to me. I'm a newbie there. So I actually find this the easiest way to apply this, and it gives me also the most control as to not apply too much of it. It's a beautiful, very summery shade of coral. I would have preferred it if it was a straight up orange, because I love orange blush, but it's still beautiful as it is. For cream highlighter, I don't really have that many options in my collection. I have these two. These are the Diamond Bomb from Fenty and this gorgeous thing from the Tutti Frutti collection from Too Faced from summer 2 years ago, I want to say. This is the shade Pink Lemonade, and since I think Pink Lemonade is the one that would look better because the Fenty one is way too cool. I'm going to apply this straight from the stick onto my face. I found that that's the way to go with this product because any other way leads to a very patchy and very like not flattering on the skin type of application. So I just use it like this, straight up onto the skin, and then I do dab it a tiny bit with my fingers just to melt it into the skin even better. I hope that you can see it. I'm wearing these gorgeous red pants, and normally I wouldn't even think twice about wearing a red lipstick with this look, but as I mentioned, I'm going to have barbecue later, and not just barbecue, I'm going to have ribs. Let me tell you, red lipstick and ribs really don't mix, so I prefer to keep it a little bit more subtle with the lips so that I don't worry about my red lipstick being all over my face later. The first thing I'm going to do is apply my lip primer. And going for a combination of lipstick and gloss today. I'm going to take Christy, which is one of the matte trans lipsticks from Pat McGrath, and one of her lip glosses. This one is in the shade Ellie Angelic. It has beautiful pink shimmer in it. This is not a very forgiving gloss if you're going to dip back and forth between different colors of lipsticks. It's going to get, you know, stained very quickly. So I never use this gloss straight up from the tube. I will give it a bit of a shake. Bit of a mixy mix. And then use the back of my hand to apply it. Oh my god, I just noticed there are actual green shifting glitters in this. It's not just the pink, there's also a little bit of green. My mind is blown. Anyway, moving on. Going to use my fingers and just sort of stamp it onto the center of my lips. I don't really want it to be too intense. And voila, here you have my sort of summer glowy cream product based type of look. I'm really happy with how this look turned out. These are definitely my kind of tones when it comes to glowy summer makeup and colors that I tend to choose for when I want to do something a little bit fresher on my face. Don't hate me, okay? But if you don't have the shade Pale Fire, I don't know why. I don't know why. It's so beautiful. I think this is the perfect summer eyeshadow. There you have it. I'm going to continue using it. I'm going to continue raving about it. And I'm never going to shut up about Pale Fire. But now I'm going to shut up. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you would like to see more of me. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!